Give us just a second, everybody. Just need to go make sure that we are live on TV too. Give me just a minute.
Karen, you want to do the nomination under new business? Okay.
Okay, we should be good. I just have to adjust the sound on. You can tell who.
Give me 1 second. I'll explain it. All right, give us 1 second. We are, hang on. Check, check. Check, check. Council, can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Give me a nod, okay. I'm just waiting for Dean. Give us just a minute.
okay.
Mayor, let me just get the okay from Ron, and then I'll let you know when you're good to open up the meeting.
Is Dean bringing them into the,
Yeah, we're just ushering in everybody right now. I shouldn't say everybody. It's all the 4 people. Everyone's masked up.
okay.
To order, everybody. Mayor, whenever you're ready. We are live
Okay.
on Facebook, YouTube, TV, everywhere.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the flag.
to the republic for
United
which it
States of
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Here.
Councilman Bagan. Councilman Bagan, I think his wife.
He's frozen.
Give us a thumbs up, Councilman Bagan. I heard him. Councilwoman Organ,
Here.
Councilman Kaplan.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we- Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Katz, Mayor Dunleavy.
Here,
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 203-2019, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2020 by way of resolution number 218-2019, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes. I just want to make sure, Mayor, before you start, can you see all right with the view that I have of the manager with the podium?
yeah, I can see Dean and the other people in the chambers. Yep,
All right, awesome.
okay. All right, good evening, everybody. Just a few announcements. First of all, present here tonight at our meeting is Dean Kazinski, our township manager, Doug Roussillon, our acting township clerk, Clarence Barnes, building maintenance worker, Ron Goodman, volunteer cable caster, and John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen, and Carvelli. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, November 10th at 8 p.m. Teaneck's local Jay Levin's book, Images of America Teaneck, is still on sale at the township clerk's office for $20. And as you know, the census did conclude as of October 15th, but that doesn't mean your civic duty is now done. It's time to vote. Everybody needs to get their ballots in. Everybody needs to vote. So please, 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 this is an important year. Please vote. The council met in closed session to discuss the following: board interviews, property negotiations, safety and security, contract negotiations, legal issues and/or opinions on any item on open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah. All right, tonight we have a short presentation. We have the Garden to Nurture Human Understanding. And Dean, why don't you take it away and let us know what we're going to see?
Doug, I'm not sure if you can or can't hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm happy to have Steve Fox and Bruce Prince to my left, who are representing the Holocaust Committee, and Pat Butler and Zine Conte, who are representing the Enslaved African Memorial Committee at our council meeting this evening, to sign a memorandum of understanding that reaffirms their commitment for the creation of monuments that will include 2 proposed memorials, including education sites. This unique project, first proposed in 2014, if I'm right, will serve as a global tourism site and will be supplemented with educational resources and space within the adjacent Teaneck Library. I'm going to call up Steve Fox, Bruce Prince, Pat, and Zine up to the front. So we have 3 memorandums of understanding to sign. One will stay with you, Steve, and one will stay with you, Pat, and one will stay with me representing the township. I'd like to call one of you up at a time to say a few words. Pat, you want to come up first? Just look right into that camera.
Thank you. This is a wonderful event, and a wonderful moment, historical, that we're having, partnering with the Holocaust Committee. Our focus is to promote understanding, develop better communications in our town in the state as well as the nation with these two memorials that we're building. And so this is a very historical moment that the Holocaust Committee and the Enslaved African American Committee have formally partnered to do joint fundraising as well as to create educational initiatives that will tell the true story of slavery in New Jersey, as well as tell the story of the Holocaust events. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Steve, you like to come up?
This is indeed a historical moment. This Garden to Nurture Human Understanding is unique in the sense that it's the only place anywhere in the world that will have a memorial to the Holocaust as well as a memorial to enslaved Africans. The synergy created will allow people from all walks of life to visit one and then go to the other. People who would otherwise not go to a Holocaust memorial will go to that. People who otherwise would not go to a memorial for enslaved Africans, but would go to a Holocaust memorial, would go visit that one as well. So it's very important that the community supports these projects. We are committed to work with the Enslaved African Memorial Committee as far as educational programming that shows both the horrors of slavery and the horrors of the Holocaust, and more importantly, to teach the lessons that we all have to learn when bigotry and racism takes hold. So these projects have a long way to go. It's both memorial and education. And we are both committed to work together to make this happen. And we thank the township for their support. And we look forward to working together with the Enslaved African Memorial Committee as well as with the township. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm going to ask you to stay up front, Steve, on this side, and Pat, can I call you up on this side? And I am going to pass out these memorandums of understanding, and you can individually sign them, and then we'll swap, and so that we have our copies that we need.
Thank you.
We're just gonna, Steve, I'm gonna give you this one, and Pat, I'll give you that one.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I thank both of you so much. Jim, Mayor, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Dean,
Thank
for
you.
all your support.
You're muted, Mayor.
I'll first ask if any of the council have any comments before I make mine. Anybody have any comments?
This is Councilwoman Rice. I'd just like to thank both of the representatives there. That I know this is a long time coming, a lot of hard work by many community members, and thank you for the continued hard work, and we look forward to supporting the fruition of this memorial. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well,
Yes, Mr.
Oh, go
Dr.
ahead.
Tim.
Go ahead,
No.
Deputy Mayor.
No, sorry. I look, this is a great project. This is that I hope continues to head down the path to fruition. And I thank all the parties for putting this together. And I'm really excited for the uniqueness of the joint, the joint project. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is a tremendous restart to a really, really good project that will put Teaneck on the map in the way that we want to be known as a town that's inclusive and understanding. I also want to give my thanks to Manager Dean Kaczynski, who pushed this through and got the groups together to sit down and come up with this agreement. I think it's a long time coming, And we look forward to seeing your efforts and your success as we get closer to being able to see those monuments on the Greenway. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, I believe we can move forward with the rest of the agenda unless council has anything else to say in regards to this matter.
Okay. All right, work session items. Anything under miscellaneous? Old business? New business? Councilmember Organ?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Joseph Kaplan to the Advisory Board of Community Relations.
You have a second?
Second.
I'll second them.
Okay. Further discussion? Doug, do we need a roll call on this? Doug?
Mayor, sorry, there's just some background conversation here. Give us just 1 minute.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayor, what did you say?
Do we need to take a roll call on the nomination?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry about that. Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Began,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Nomination confirmed. Well, I'll work with legal to have a resolution for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Communications. Anybody have any communications? No? Okay. Committee reports by council liaisons. We have,
Yes. I'm
we
sorry.
have 2 reports from our, well, Mark, do you have a report from a other liaison, not these reports?
I have multiple. I have other, I'll go after this. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's do the reports and then we can do the other. Okay.
I'll mention one thing as liaison to the library board. They had met, they had discussed budgets and various other issues. They had one request for a full-time employee for digital research and various other things. I'll bring it up with the manager and swing it around to council for everybody's input.
Okay.
Mr.
right.
Mayor, is it okay if I talk about the Chamber of Commerce real quick?
Let's get through the two
Okay.
reports that I've listed and then we can do all the other ones, okay?
Thank you.
So I want to know if anybody has any comments about the Hackensack River Greenway Advisory Board Annual Report. I had one thing from the report and that was actually 2 things. One, the enclosure that they're requesting regarding a rain barrel down at the Topolsky area off of Teaneck Road. They need to get a special type of surround and enclosure for this. I think we can do it with most funds. I'm going to double check. But I may ask who's the liaison on that, on the Greenway?
That would be me, Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
Javon Weiss.
Okay. I may ask you to, I'll get the information about whether or not it's a most, and then if you can take that back to them, because they discussed it with me at the Lucar bench ceremony this weekend. And let's see if we can try and get some of those things done on that list.
Great, great. And that was actually a donation from Hawthorne School, so it would be nice for them to
Yeah.
be able to have that
Yeah, exactly.
installed.
Exactly.
It would be a great school township partnership for that to take place. So that would be nice if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
This is a small but mighty group, and appreciate their forward of their goals and their accomplishments, which are
Yep.
listed here.
Okay. The other
What-
report that we have.
Oh, just one thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about this report. I didn't realize this was going to be one of their goals, but I did have a few residents contacted me about the Indian Pond Trail and the help it needs. And Dean has already reached out, I think, or is reaching out to the engineer to see if what can be done there without causing further damage. So something came from the residents on that.
Great, great. Okay. The other report that we have is the Senior Citizens Advisory Board Annual Report. I think that's you, Mike, right?
Me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Karen.
It's okay. They met twice, the Senior Citizen Advisory Board, once outside, and then last week we managed a Zoom. We were all very proud of ourselves, me especially running it. This report is a lot of work. The most important thing is going to be communication, because everybody has a different level of the ability to use Zoom or different things. And so if you look at their current recommendations, using public access television is something that we're working on. Dean is working on that also, but maybe we could broadcast so that people know where to go to find out information, since everybody has a television. And also upgrades to the website. Now that we're holding classes, whether outdoor or if we move indoor at the Rhoda Center, it's the advertising of the classes is difficult. There aren't a lot of spots. And so to make it easier for people to sign up, hopefully if we can use the public access television, we'll be able to get more information out. And they are very happy about Dean hiring a full-time social worker. So yeah, the report's a good report, and there are good
Yeah.
suggestions on it.
Yeah, Karen, I would also suggest if you could, they noticed, they mentioned something about parks. And if they have any suggestions, they should get them over to PPRAB, because I know they're working on a list for all the parks. And it would be great if we could combine that information together and we could put it in one.
Okay, there were a few specific recommendations which I passed on to Dean
Okay.
also. I kept him busy, but I'll go back to them and ask them if they have others.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, other reports by council liaison.
Mr. Mayor, yes.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Let Mike go ahead, and then Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind residents that the Teaneck Chamber of Commerce's 19th Annual Community Awards Dinner will be held virtually this year on November 5th at 6 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube, and will feature remarks from our mayor, our manager, Holy Name Hospital, members of the chamber, the honorees, and other members of our Teaneck community. The program will last about 45 to 60 minutes in total. So please join us virtually for what is always a very fun event. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, two quick reports from my committees. One, Cedar Lane Management Group had our meeting last week. At that time, they voted to not do the annual Halloween trick or treating as they've done in the past due to COVID concerns, and many other towns canceling that as well. Secondly, the planning board meeting for this Thursday, the 22nd, is canceled. There is nothing on the agenda. The next meeting of the planning board will be on November 12th.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any other liaison reports? No? Okay. All right, council listed items. One, honorary street renaming, Dr. Henry Pruitt, Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
So that's not really Deputy Mayor Schwartz. That's really, I put this on as the council as a whole. It wouldn't be fair to just put my name under that. I'd like to make a motion that we rename, we do the honorary street renaming of Voorhees, which is Dr. Pruitt's longtime residence, as the Dr. Henry Pruitt Avenue Street. I don't know what Suffolk.
I think Way is appropriate here.
Way?
Yeah.
Fine, Way is good. So I'm looking for some support
Okay.
on that.
I have a second. Councilmember Rice, seconds. Discussion.
I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Did you just say all of Voorhees Street, or was it a specific block? I missed you. I'm sorry.
I'm going to defer to maybe someone else on that question. Councilwoman Javon Rice, do you have a comment on all part?
I would like to
You-
recommend the entire block, even though he
Okay.
lives in the second section. I think it would be appropriate if we did the entire block.
Excellent. So I'll modify my motion accordingly.
That's from Teaneck Road to,
Rensselaer.
Liberty, well, yeah,
Yeah.
Rensselaer.
Awesome.
Also, I'd like to just give a shout out to Scott Pleasance, who brought this to the council's
Yes,
attention.
yes, yes. Sorry about that.
No, I just wanted to make sure, to recognize a community resident who wanted to make sure that this, there's 2 pages of Dr. Pruitt's accolades and his accomplishments. I'm sure if we would actually look at his resume, they would probably go on and on. But I think that, with this community resident bringing this to our attention is befitting and couldn't be better timed.
Mhm. Further discussion? Okay. Do I have to take a roll on this one, Doug, or can we just get nodding heads?
Nodding heads is cool, and we will have a resolution for the next meeting.
Okay, so without objection, we'll move forward with that.
Great.
Certificate of recognition, Dr. Kishana Taylor. I brought this up. You had already, everyone has signed off on the certificate, and I brought it up because it's somewhat of a personal item for me. I know Dr. Taylor as Key, and Key was my oldest daughter's best friend. And she has done just remarkable work. Just to give you an idea, she has a PhD from the University of Georgia. She has an MS from George Washington University, a BS degree from the University of Delaware. She's doing postdoctoral work at Carnegie Mellon University. And she was recently written up in the New York Times as co-founder of Black in Microbiology. And what's even better about all of this is that within the last few months, Dr. Taylor and her husband and her son have moved back to Teaneck. And they are now residents here, and we love seeing them and love seeing their son. And I just think this is a great example of the great things that people from Teaneck do and are doing, and are just terrific role models for others. So I just want to commend Dr. Taylor and just tell Key just how proud my wife and my daughters and I are of her. And I look forward to giving her that certificate. So congratulations, Key. Task Force for the American Legion Drive Development. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
The council at prior meetings has sent the American Legion Drive redevelopment over to the planning board. The subzoning committee met with everyone involved to start that process. The planner has put together a 12-point document that needs to get handled. And I'd like to create a task force, not a subcommittee, because this is a 2-year force till this is done. And I'd like to have it led by Councilman Organ, who's met with the planner and who's been down there with myself and you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to be joined on that task force by Deputy Mayor Katz, who, by the way, is on the call right now. And Councilwoman Organ on this task force. This will be to work with our planner to go over the steps indicated so the planning board can start the method. This would be, of course, no voting or anything like that. The primary functions of the task force in making this happen would be, it's similar to the hospital subcommittee, but it's the hospital subcommittee is a long-term committee. There's a short-term to work with the Stop and Shop, work with the stores, work with the store owners into moving a redevelopment plan forward and sending it back to council.
So we have a motion to form a task force for American Legion Drive redevelopment. You have a second?
Limited scope, yes.
Second?
Second.
Question?
Discussion? Councilmember Rice?
Yes. Since some people have been privy to meeting with the developer that have already been part of this task force, can you just further elaborate on what the plans and what the discussion has taken place thus far with the rest of the council?
Absolutely. This was reported at the last meeting when the council voted to send to the planning board. The subzoning committee reported on last time. I think Deputy Mayor Katz reported that it was sent to the planning board to work with the planner and the owners of both the Stop and Shop and then the piece next to the Stop and Shop. They're separate owners, which is occupied right now by a Hindu. I believe it's a Hindu. I apologize if it's not. Buddhist. I'm sorry. It's a Buddhist center. I apologize. By the Buddhist center to work in envisioning what could be done with that site, as well as the town-owned Tetris-shaped parking lots across the street, which right now is severely underutilized. Literally no cars on most of the lots. So that's really what the plan is right now.
Can I just ask, is there anything in relevance to the master plan and as part of this discussion at all?
Right now, I know the master plan is a shorter, long-term process. This is something that the owners of the property came to the subzoning committee and about 6 months ago now to put their step forward. The existing master plan always talked about the development in that area. So it's actually in following with the current master plan. I don't know if I can expand further on that. Our planner can definitely expand further on that at the next meeting. But this site has always been one that our master plans have discussed redeveloping because of the fact that it's completely empty. So this is not anything new, just finally sitting there and taking action before Cedar Lane completely is vacated, frankly speaking.
Councilmember Organ.
Yeah, the master plan talks about Cedar Lane. We haven't touched it yet, but it talks about commercial on the bottom, residential on top. And if you look at the area on Cedar Lane, right in front of American Legion Drive, that's where a lot of businesses have gone out of business or stores haven't reopened yet. And so doing something in that area will hopefully revitalize the area and then help start developing Cedar Lane, doing good things for it from that point down instead of from working from the bottom up.
And
Councilmember Kaplan.
I'll just mention, from my time on the planning board, one of the things that we tried to do was get that kind of mixed use facility when it came to 1500 Teaneck Road. The argument was it was too far apart from the other things. You needed the people to be by the businesses. So that didn't work. Then we tried in a different area and then it was, disconnected and disjointed. This is an area where you have the people, you have the businesses, the slope will let you build so it's not in people's faces. This is the perfect area for this kind of project. So I'm happy the task force is taking a look at it. I think this is something that'll lead us to the fruition of what the master plan has been calling for quite a long time.
Councilmember Rice.
Yes, I'd just like to ask, will the task force seek out a wide variety of various diverse types of businesses and, whatever type of restaurants, or if there's retail, I hope that they would be ensuring that they would look to the community that we represent and get a wide variety of eclectic types of restaurants or retail that would be representative of the community.
Deputy Mayor Katz. You're muted. You're muted, Ellie.
It sounded great. Two of the primary goals of this committee is first and foremost making sure that there's future parking for the entire Cedar Lane so that Cedar Lane can start to thrive and rebuild, similar to how Councilmember Organ mentioned it. And maybe it's not first and foremost, maybe it's parallel. And second is to save our supermarket. Right now, if I don't want to speak for Stop and Shop, but from what we're hearing through the grapevine, there is no necessarily an intention to renew the lease. Believe it or not, this supermarket is too big for what the supermarkets are doing now, according to what was explained to us. So our goal and objective is to make sure that Teaneck has a supermarket. So those are the two big plans. And then obviously retail, et cetera, will be wrapped around that. But those are the goals.
Right. I don't think that we have any conversation about what retail, if we,
right,
anything specific or way. I would hope that I hope that we get occupied retail. That's what I'm hoping for, or anyone that wants to pay rent. But that's just my personal comment. I don't really. We're probably 3 to 4 years away from occupancy in this regard. This is
just in terms of philosophy of council, I just want to make sure we're aware. Council doesn't pick occupants of the building. We create a framework. We create, an environment. We can create rules that favor people, coming in to take a look. But you need to open your own stores. We don't pick any particular clientele.
I don't think that was the intent, but when you actually mentioned setting the framework and making the invitation, that the invitation would be extended far and wide to various businesses.
And I think Deputy Mayor Schwartz, correct me if I'm wrong, in our discussion that I had with you about this, this is trying to facilitate Cedar Lane revitalizing and not creating competition for those areas on Cedar Lane.
Yeah. This is about bringing people to Cedar Lane and jumpstarting the retail. Councilwoman Organ discussed the sheer volume, and I was always a staunch defender of Cedar Lane vacancy rates. They really weren't bad before the pandemic. There was always one or two on every block that were constantly rolling that weren't held out. In the last 6 months, there's been this mass exodus on Cedar Lane. You know, if anyone wants to open up a business in Cedar Lane right now, I mean, they have their choice of so many vacant spaces. So part of we've divided Cedar Lane would be the gateway to American Legion Drive. American Legion Drive would have the people to shop on Cedar Lane, and then of course what Deputy Mayor Katz says is a strong desire to make sure and work with the supermarket. That's really the first and foremost right now, to make sure that supermarket stays here. We've already lost multiple supermarkets, and frankly speaking, this is our last one. And the pandemic showed that we need them to stay. So that's really right now the smaller scope is talking with the developers, keeping the supermarket, seeing where this goes, and using that to help bring up Cedar Lane.
Any other discussion? Okay, so with a show of nodding heads, you're in favor of creating this subcommittee?
Task force, yes.
Okay, task force, excuse me. You're right. Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I don't know if Deputy Mayor Schwartz mentioned it, but we did have a zoning subcommittee meeting last week where we just met again with Holy Name Hospital to talk about their future plans.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Perfect, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, proposed resolution, yes vote for the most referendum, Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yeah, I'd like to get a resolution out there. People are asking that this council supports the vote on most. This is something that I believe it's every 4 years, Mr. Attorney. And I'd like to get a resolution out there encouraging our residents to vote in favor of most.
All right, so it's been moved to create a motion in support of the most referendum. Discussion?
If I may?
Yes.
One of the things that I get from a lot of residents is, why are you asking for this set aside tax for 1 penny for $100 of assessed value? Just raise my taxes for a penny and do it that way. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that we have matching grants for when you have most funds available. This is a very specific type of thing. So we pay money to the state in taxes, we pay money to the county in taxes. Most lets us get a lot of that money back through matching grants, and that's only if we have the most account. So that's one thing I'd especially like known, and if we could throw that in the resolution just for clarity.
And just so the public knows, because I've also heard some comments from some people, the current referendum that's on the ballot is exactly the same as the previous one in 2016. There is no change, there's no additions, there's no subtractions. It's the exact same wording as what it was in 2016. Some people have felt that perhaps we tried to do something to try and take more control. No, it is exactly the same wording.
Deputy Mayor
Any other
Schwartz,
comments?
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure I'm hearing this properly, that Deputy Mayor Schwartz, you are proposing a resolution to be considered to try and compel residents to vote yes on the most referendum, because I just want to be clear that the next council meeting is November 10th, which is after the election. So in theory, if you wanted to do this resolution, you would need to do it this evening as a walk.
Yeah, it would be something of support. It doesn't have to be the formal resolution's a formal word, and I understand that's your job to think about that formality. I'm referring to as public support for that.
Right. So can I make a suggestion, Deputy Mayor, that you move to have council support the most referendum for 2020?
I changed my, yes, I amended to be a support of, yes,
So
exactly.
I'll second his walk-in resolution.
Very good. All those in favor? Okay. All opposed? Okay, so carried. All right, Township Managers Report.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a moment to remind everyone of the importance of getting a flu vaccine this year to protect yourself, your family, and our community. The flu vaccine this season will help to reduce the burden on our healthcare systems as well due to the COVID-19 pandemic and save our medical resources for care of the COVID-19 patients. To date, TNEC has 1,263 COVID-related cases. The death toll remains at 107. We are experiencing, as well as Holy Name Medical Center, who I spoke to today, just a slight uptick in weekly COVID cases. I can't stress it enough how important it remains to wear your mask, practice social distancing. We've made over the last several months great strides here in TNEC, and I don't want to see us lose that momentum and have any significant setbacks. Happy to report, in partnership with Bergen Newbridge Medical Center in the County of Bergen, TNEC is going to be host municipality for regional community mobile COVID-19 testing for those with or without symptoms. Testing is going to take place on Tuesday, October 27th. That's next Tuesday in the Richard Rhoda Community Center parking lot located at 250 Colonial Court. Please arrive. Anyone that wants to be tested, please arrive between 9 and 2:30 p.m. Bring your identification, such as a driver's license, any other identification card, social security card, passport, birth certificate. Proof of Bergen County residency is required. If you have health insurance, bring your card. It is not necessary, though. This is a saliva COVID-19 test as well. You should not eat, drink, smoke, or chew gum 30 minutes prior to arrival. The county has also informed me that they will be administering flu shots. They will be available. Supplies are limited and will be offered on a first come, first served basis. And all of this testing is weather permitting. I looked at the weather forecast earlier, and it right now is calling for, I know it's early, rain for next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If there is a cancellation, I'll send out a robocall, Nixle alert, blast email, and will be posted on the website. I just want to offer a quick thank you to Holy Name Medical Center. They sent staff to our municipal building last week to provide flu shots to our workforce. So again, that made it very convenient for everyone here to get their flu shots. So thank you very much, Holy Name. Monthly reminder to sign up for Township Alerts. Go on our website. It's the first tab on the left-hand side. There was a Green Acres public diversion hearing that was held on October 13th via Zoom. This hearing had to take place prior to the submission of a final application to the Green Acres program for the diversion of parkland. The diversion is part of PSE&G's statewide, the 69 kV upgrade to improve the reliability of PSE&G's existing infrastructure. In accordance with the statute, PSE&G proposes to compensate the township in the amount of $1.9 million for the diversion and a planting of 24 trees in Windsor and Voti parks, as well as this includes a monetary contribution of $184,000 for the removal of 8 trees in Windsor Park, which is good news. Public Works is testing a hook lift leaf vacuum truck, which is on loan from the borough of Tenafly. We're going to evaluate its effectiveness, and I'll report back to council at the end of leaf season. The recreation, I asked them to identify the room capacities at the Rhoda Center so that they can continue to hold programs in the fall, and that we maintain in compliance with the executive order that limits room capacity to 25%. So they have done that. They will be running these programs at the Rhoda Center in the fall. We've established as well indoor activity guidelines to keep everyone safe. On a happy note, our 2019 audit report was very favorable to the township. I want to personally thank my department heads for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to the residents of TNEC. The audit report really did not find any deficiencies, weaknesses, and instances of non-compliance related to finances. So to my staff, I thank you very much. Our contractor doing 2019 road resurfacing will complete milling and paving on the east side of TNEC probably by the middle of next week. Palmer Avenue, I believe, is the last street that's going to be paved. And then he will move all of the equipment to the west side of town, where Somerset, Berwick, Cornwall, Sagamore, and yes, Cumberland Road will be done. Also, Glad Express, the parking lot behind Glad Express, the municipal lot, we plan on repairing that parking lot and putting sealant down, and then we will be striping that parking lot on Monday. So the seal coat will be done on Saturday. Striping will be done on Monday. It's going to create a little bit of an inconvenience, but we're going to gain, I believe it's 23 or 25 additional parking spaces in that lot. So that will be done shortly. I posted on the website, the State Department of Health issued safety guidelines for Halloween. It's very informative information. As the deputy mayor said, unfortunately, activities on Cedar Lane were canceled this year due to COVID. The public library, another good thing, the public library is having a ribbon cutting ceremony in Sagamore Park for Together in Teaneck, which is an inclusive story walk on Thursday, October 29th at 4:30 p.m. Again, that's at Sagamore Park, Thursday the 29th at 4:30 p.m. The theme will be diversity and inclusion, and this event is open to all residents. And the last thing I have, Mayor, is I've scheduled the 2021 department budget request public hearings for the first week in November. The schedule will be posted tomorrow, and the meetings will be held virtually. That's it.
Thank you, Dean. And again, thank the staff. That audit report was just a reaffirmation of the fine work that they're all doing. I think we now have the Township Attorney's report.
There's nothing to report for the public, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to formal meeting items. We'll have adoption of the ordinances and public hearing. Clerk, can you please read in the titles?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Mayor?
We're on formal meeting items, Doug, and you need to read in the titles of the ordinances.
Sorry about that. 1 second. So we are considering for adoption 2 ordinances this evening. Ordinance number 27-2020, amending and updating Appendix 3, fees and charges for township services of Chapter 2 of the Township Code entitled Charter Administrative Code, as amended, respecting the fee for an application for certificate of appropriateness. And ordinance number 28-2020, a bond ordinance providing for various 2020 capital improvements by and in of the Township of Teaneck in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, appropriating $4,841,500, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,405,400 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost.
Okay, so at this point, we will open up for public comment on just these 2 ordinances, ordinance number 27-2020 and ordinance number 28-2020. So Dean, if you could, I'm sorry, Dean, Doug, if you could.
I'm just getting my stopwatch here. Mr. Alan Sohn, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. You have 3 minutes.
After 2 decades when municipal taxes have doubled, now it's debt that's soaring. Township authorized debt was a record $56 million in 2019, up more than $20 million in just 3 years. And ordinance 28-2020 adds another 4.4 million. 2020 has been a difficult year, not just in terms of disease, but in terms of finances. The most visible aspect of this from the township's perspective is the lost revenue from hotel occupancy taxes, which are down 50% or more from the previous year for months impacted by COVID. Collections for September were down 75% from last year. The occupancy tax collection will likely be half of what it was last year, a revenue loss of what could be as much as $500,000. Other business owners have been impacted. As publicly reported, a business owner who owns 5 commercial buildings on West Englewood Avenue with restaurant spaces has been late on quarterly property tax payments for most of these properties, probably because the tenants have been behind on lease payments. For this one landlord, the township chose to close the street to allow for outdoor dining. While this made it much easier for that landlord to pay his late property taxes. The several hundred other property owners, 99% of all retail spaces, didn't get this special benefit, putting them at a competitive disadvantage. The township has more than $850 million in ratables for commercial, industrial, and apartments, for which owners owe $27 million in property taxes this year. With the Glen Point as the canary in the coal mine, the future bodes poorly. 2021 will see a wave of appeals from all businesses that saw a drop in revenue, from apartment and commercial landlords that have seen tenants unable to make their rent or lease payments. As commercial properties are largely assessed based on an income analysis, these properties will have a strong claim for a property assessment reduction via appeal. A drop of 10% in assessments of the $850 million would cost the township $2.7 million next year. A drop of 20% would be ahead of $5.5 million. Meanwhile, debt is coming due. The Glen Point tax appeal, $5 million, the DPW building, $6 million, the bridge from BF to VOT, $2 million and more, and the terminal leave is due. Does this soaring debt make sense? It depends. Where are the financial reports that show where the township stands for 2020 spending against budget? Where is the debt management plan that shows how debt will be spread out over the upcoming years? Where is the plan that shows that this council recognizes that there will be continuing financial pain for all of Teaneck over the next few years and how the township will address it? Without this information, we can't possibly judge if this ordinance makes sense from a financial perspective. Why not just post the documents and allow the public to decide? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sohn.
Thank you, Mr. Sohn. Anybody else?
Bringing in Miss Gail Gordon.
Okay.
Miss Gail Gordon, can you hear me? Miss Gail Gordon.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, Miss Gail Gordon. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I'd like to talk about the 28-2020, the bond ordinance. And what I can't figure out is, I assume the public is going to get to know what this money is going to go for. It's a very specific amount of money, and it doesn't really specify what we need this money for. So I would like to suggest that for the next reading, that it specifies the things that the money is going to go for, because that would be important information for the public. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Gordon.
I don't see anybody else.
Yes, no, and I just want to, oh, Councilman Kaplan.
Okay. I'm going to close the public comment.
Wait, we just got a hand, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Isaac Landa. Isaac Landa.
Hi, City Council. I don't have any comments on these ordinances, so I'm not sure if this is the right.
You can wait, Isaac, if you would wait until good and welfare, which is coming up, then you can comment on anything. It's just for these two ordinances right now, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Stay tuned.
Okay, I don't see anybody, so we'll close public comment on these two ordinances. And council, does anybody have any comments?
Yes.
The council member Kaplan, then Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
I will keep it brief, and normally I'd let it slide, but I wouldn't want the public to believe what they heard about our bonding. Teaneck, as all 560 some odd municipalities in the state, are required to file an annual debt statement every year. This is certified by our accountants, auditors, and various other, the CFO. The debt statement takes the aggregate value of all the land in Teaneck, and it takes into account our bonding, and it creates a ratio of what your bond is to the amount of value in your land. That allows towns to be compared to each other. If you take a look at Teaneck and the surrounding neighborhoods, Englewood, Bergenfield, Bogota, Hackensack, New Milford, they're allowed to bond, CFO could correct me, up to about 3%. The highest I saw on record was 1.8 for Englewood. Below that is Bogota at 1.7. Way down towards the bottom, there are only two that I found that are below 1% in their bonding ratio, and that's Teaneck at 0.94 and Bergenfield at 0.91. They just edge us out. We have one of the lowest ratios when it comes to our bonding. These documents are available on our website. Where's the report? Where's the this? You'd think like we're hiding things. The annual debt statement is available on our website. Just Google Teaneck Finance Documents, you'll get there. And this is all public information. So I just want to set the public straight on that. And with that, I'll let it go to Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz? You're muted, Mark.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Mr. Manager, when we get a chance, if you can just generate the questions. Ms. Gordon's comments were spot on as to a general feel around a number of what the bonds are for. Also, is it in the packet as well, if you don't mind? If you can also address those two matters as part of my first comments.
Absolutely.
And I believe it is in the packet, correct?
Yes, it shows where the money is going to be appropriated to. I can take 2 minutes to tell you under police and fire equipment that covers turnout gear, mandatory turnout gear for the fire department, including workstation uniform replacement. We have to do these things. Again, a little bit over $2 million goes towards street and road improvement. That's our road resurfacing project. We have to spend this money. It's critical to keep our infrastructure in the correct condition. This will allow us to pave and resurface between 15 and 20 streets. If we do not do this, we're going to fall way behind. So this really accounts for just road resurfacing accounts for, roughly 40% of this capital budget. We have other items that we have Bergen County Open Space grants, and we have to match the monies. That's for Hawthorne Park, that's for Tiyun Park Playground, and we are also looking at resurfacing the Voti Park basketball court, which is in desperate need of a new surface. Then, of course, you always have the municipal facilities upgrades. We're putting money to the DPW facility. We've been doing that for the last several years. We need to erect some new fencing. I receive the complaints all the time about repairing our fences in town. A new telephone system for the Rhoda Center. They've been having problems with that for years, and now it's time for us to make sure we have a new phone system that is effective for our residents that call. The library needs a new front door. We're going to purchase one additional audible alert system that should supplement the existing ones and provide complete coverage throughout the township. There are some public library upgrades that we have to do, upgrades to the municipal building. Again, a lot is infrastructure that we must take care of, and that's it. This is I consider a slim 2020 capital budget compared to past budgets. I think it's responsible and it addresses our immediate emergent needs.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And a few other questions. First, are all our spending reports filed online in accordance with financials are filed online in accordance with?
Of course they are. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And lastly, yes, indeed, of the amount that's authorized, I know it's always sensational when you use a higher number. If I'm correct, there's millions upon millions of dollars that we bonded for that we actually don't use every year. What is our amount of our bonding that is authorized but not yet spent, and it's been going on like this for years? Can you speak a little bit about that math?
Well, actually, I spoke a little bit about with Issa, and I know he is on board at this meeting, and if he connects here, he can give you a little bit of a breakdown for that.
Okay, so you're here. Please.
I'm looking for you, Issa.
There he is.
Just have to unmute.
Unmute, Isa.
Isa.
Doug, do you have to unmute him or does he have to?
Okay, while he's working on that, I'll go to my next comment is, there's a comment made about street closures for outdoor dining. I just want to remind the public, if there's any outdoor dining facility that is looking for a street to be closed to use it, please, by all means, reach out to me. I've spoken to as many possible store owners that I could, that I've walked into and asked. I know Smoke and Ashes right now is doing a significant amount of outdoor business on Wallraven Drive. So that's something that we worked hard on with all the local area stores over there. And so if anyone knows of an outdoor dining or street that wants to be closed, please reach out to me. With that, Mr. CFO, if you could please give us the 60-second version on approximately how much we have authorized but have not yet spent.
So thank you, Mayor, Council, Dean. The amount issued in debt is 19.8 million as of December 31, 2019. The amount authorized but not issued, ABNI, is 24.05 million for a total of $43.898 million. It is important to note that context is very important. Back in 2016, 2017, we were putting forth and adopting bond ordinances in the total of $10+ million and paying down $2 million. Since 2018, we've been significantly cutting back, where we've been adopting ordinances, bond ordinances of $6 million, last year $5 million, and now a shade under $5 million. So to add to Councilman Kaplan's comments, which were very apropos, we are not simply borrowing and spending recklessly and mercilessly. We have cut that in half, in my opinion, and we are doing a better job in bonding our debt, which, if you recall, back in July, we bonded $11.3 million or $13 million in change over 13 years at an interest rate of 1.343%. That is unheard of. It is amazing that we got a rate that low, and we are responsibly paying it down and forecasting our debt management with our bond attorneys and our auditors.
Thank you very much. So we are not $56 million in debt.
No. First, 2019, 43.898.
Yep.
Okay.
I want to remind everybody of Moody's bond rating for us and how impressed they were with what they found when they reviewed the books on when they were getting ready to issue that bond issue. So we're in very good shape.
Thank you very much. I have no other questions.
Anybody else? Are you ready to vote? Okay. All right. So I move ordinance number 27, 2020 and number 28, 2020. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Began,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Ordinances 27, 28 adopted. Publications going out tomorrow.
Okay. So now we move to good and welfare for the public. Remind everybody, you're on 3 minutes. And Doug will be allowing you in, okay?
Yes, again, members of the public, it's going to be 3 minutes allocated to everybody. I really don't like interrupting people. If I cut you off after 3 minutes, I promise you it's nothing personal. If you feel like that you were not able to get your full thought in, please feel free to email me, clerk@tnecnj.gov, and I will be sure to include the rest of your statement in the minutes. Again, I don't want to interrupt anybody. You have 3 minutes. I will be cutting you off at about 3 minutes, 5 seconds to account for some technological lag. Deputy Mayor Katz, do you have a question before we begin with Mr. Isaac?
Before we begin, Mr. Mayor, with your permission, Could we just have the clerk explain what's happening with the voting in person? I've literally gotten, I want to say dozens of emails about it. And
Sure.
that's okay. Just explain
Sure, yeah, that's a good idea.
what the situation is. Okay, thank you.
Isaac Landa, I apologize. Give me just a minute. So I want to just remind members of the public, per the request of Deputy Mayor Katz, and I'm sure many other people out there, that this general election coming up, it's in less than 3 weeks. It's primarily a vote by mail election. All residents, all voters who are actively registered should be receiving a mail-in ballot if they have not already by the Bergen County Clerk. The Bergen County Clerk prepares and mails these mail-in ballots, and the Bergen County Board of Elections receives the mail-in ballots. If there's a problem with your mail-in ballot, or if you have not received it yet and you believe you're registered, please give our office a call. Again, you can email me, clerk@tnecnj.gov, 201-837-1600, extension 1025. That's our office's direct extension. We will be happy to help you and put you in contact with the county for receiving your mail-in ballot. On election day, the only people who will be able to use the voting booths, be able to go into a physical booth, are the ADA disabled, the blind, deaf, or severely physically disabled, or illiterate, and that needs to be certified. Other people who show up to the polls that are not ADA disabled will be able to go there to submit their mail-in ballot in person or fill out a provisional paper ballot, which will be received by the poll workers, given back to the County Board of Elections, as all ballots are, and it will be counted just like any other ballot is counted. We assure you that. Again, mail-in ballots can be submitted at your polling location, which is not typically how it works in elections here in New Jersey. But we do encourage people, although that option is available, we have this drop box right outside of the north entrance of the municipal building for people to drop their mail-in ballot also at. This will be available to people till 8 p.m. on election day, November 3rd, 8 p.m. This drop box will be picked up by the county. People won't be able to utilize it anymore. So I'm encouraging people to utilize this drop box. If you are insisting on going to the polls, again, you will be handed a provisional ballot. That's a paper ballot. You will need to sign the voter registration book. And that ballot is counted. However, it would just be a little more efficient for you to drop it off here at the mail-in box. That's what I'm encouraging people to do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Katz. That was a good reminder. Okay, we're in good and welfare now.
Isaac Landa.
Good evening, Teaneck Council. I'll try to be as brief as possible.
Yes, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I live on 202 Walraven Drive. My portion of Walraven Drive has been closed to allow small business to open, particularly ETC Steakhouse and Smoke and Ashes Cigar Lounge. While I appreciate the town closing the street in order to allow small business to flourish, I feel as a Teaneck resident, I've been completely overlooked. I live right on that street. Each day I have to walk through the dozens of patrons and from both of those establishments, particularly from the patrons at Smoke and Ashes. I have to walk through smoke, loud music. Every Friday and Saturday night, there is increasingly loud music. At one point, I came home and there was smoke odor that filled my apartment. I'm trying to be as good of a neighbor as possible. I recognize difficult times, difficult for everybody. However, me and my wife are expecting a child the next few weeks. So I am really looking for a solution. Particularly, I want to know when the street will open. I would like to submit 3 videos. Would that be allowed to put in the chat?
You can, what you can do is you can submit that to the manager.
Can I post the videos now? They're each 30 seconds or less.
You're going to quickly use up your time.
That's okay. I had everything I had to say. I just want to mention Article 5, Section 33-22, which mentions that all establishments have to be used safely, and I do not feel like my health and well-being are being taken care of. I will post the videos in the chat right now for the panelists to see. Hopefully this works.
Mr. Landa, I apologize. The chat is disabled.
Okay.
For attendees, sorry, that's just not.
Okay. So then I'm just gonna reiterate what I was saying. It is extremely loud. My windows shake at some points. I've asked my neighbors to turn down the volume. They have refused to do so. I recognize that I can call a noise complaint. However, I'm not sure how to help. And I'm also, quite frankly, afraid of being retaliated against my neighbors. I don't want to affect their business. I want to be a good neighbor, but I don't see any good solutions here besides for opening up the street and returning to some sense of normalcy. So I'd just like some advice from the council and hopefully some solutions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landa. And again, I'm just going to remind you, feel free to submit those videos to Manager Kaczynski. If you'd like, you can give them to my email, clerk@tnecnj.gov. I will be sure that the manager receives those. Next up, we have Mr. James Veach. And again, Mr. Veach, let's get a sound check. Can you hear me, sir? Mr. James Veach?
James, if you could unmute.
Mr. James Veach? Are you there, Mr. James Veach?
I believe I am.
There you
Thank
go.
you very much, Doug.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
I'll be brief. I think Deputy Mayor Schwartz's desultory effort to bring up the referendum, the most open space referendum, sort of typifies how this council has treated the Municipal Open Space Trust Fund for years. I think half of Teaneck residents have already voted. So the referendum may have been defeated already or passed. We don't know. And we're working on a resolution that would be adopted after the election's over. So we're right on top of this thing with the most. The most advisory board has 2 members missing. A member at large has not been appointed, and the historic preservation person, that spot has been open for a year and a half or 2. If you want to see how much money there is in the most fund, you'll have to make a Freedom of Information request. It's not posted anywhere. You can't find it. With the request, you can see a lot of numbers, and there may be other people tonight who've looked at those numbers. They show that we basically got $2.2 to $2.7 million in this trust fund unspent. If residents are voting for this, thinking that they are encouraging the township, or encouraging or allowing the township to buy open space, they're kidding themselves. We've bought 0.5, 1/2 of an acre of land in 16 years. This money has been used to resurface tennis courts, to fix the roof on the Rota Center, all kinds of capital projects. It's a grab bag that the council reaches into every now and then. I'm not sure that this trust fund is required to get some money back from the county. I don't believe it is. But even if we voted this referendum down, we'd still have the trust fund there because we got $2.5 million in it. What's happened here is the advisory board is disregarded. The accounting is opaque, almost impossible to decipher. And what the residents are taxing them for is they're taxing themselves for items that should be in the capital budget. Now, if this thing passes, I'll be happy because I want the open space. But residents, if you want open space and you even want your dollars worth out of this trust fund, you're going to have to storm some advisory board meetings. You won't be invited in, but you're going to have to pay real attention because this thing has been neglected and abused for about 16 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Veach. I am bringing in Sandy. Can you hear me, Sandy?
Hi. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, miss. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I wanted to thank Councilman Kaplan for mentioning the request that the library is going to make in this year's budget. And I urge people to join into those open discussions. The library is looking to fill a full-time position for someone with a knowledge of emerging technologies, since we've had to pivot and we'll probably have to do that for the next for the foreseeable future. And it's a full-time job. And the library staff, which has been diminished over the years through natural causes, retirements and people moving away, has not been replenished. So we're doing more and more and more with less and less and less. And I think in order for this library to remain the best library in the Buckles system, which it is, we really need to increase by at least this one full-time position. So I thank you, Councilman Kaplan, for mentioning it, and we will be attending the budget hearings. I also want to emphasize to the public that, you know, the library has never ceased to function in all of this time. And people keep asking me, is the library open? The library services have never really been closed. But now I'm happy to say that the physical building is also open to browsing on a limited basis from about 9:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon during the week, and with other hours on the weekends. So you can enter the building, the physical building. Lots of PPE exists for the staff. The library's been retrofitted with all kinds of safety measures, and we will still offer curbside. We still offer order up first. You know, it's sort of the Grubhub of the intellectual Grubhub. And we're still doing all of that. So I just wanted to welcome you, everybody, into the building. Please feel free to come in. We miss you and hope that you'll join us again. Thank you, Councilwoman Organ, for reaching out to me, and I look forward to meeting with you. And thank everybody. Doug, you did a fantastic job. And as far as the town manager is concerned, I am constantly overwhelmed by what a wonderful job he does. Thank you so, so much, everybody, and have a safe night.
Thank you, Sandy. You too. Please be safe. Thank you for all you do,
Sandy.
library. I saw Mr. Scott Pleasance. Mr. Scott Pleasance, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, just very, very briefly, I just want to make a couple of comments in regards to the proposed street renaming for Dr. Pruitt. First and foremost, I just wanted to let Mr. Schwartz know that I appreciated his quick response on this request. And in addition, although a 3-page proposal was submitted, which includes many of the accomplishments and accolades of Dr. Pruitt, I just want the residents to know, and I want the council to know, that this gentleman is so accomplished in so many different things. And some of the things, as we all know, are elusive when you try to put it on paper. He's made contributions across the town and across the county for so many years, and he's influenced and supported countless people in their endeavors throughout the township. So with that said, I do appreciate the council moving forward with this street renaming. And my recommendation is Dr. Henry Pruitt Way. And I hope that we can, move forward and make it happen as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasance. I am bringing in Ms. Gail Gordon. Ms. Gail Gordon, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, miss. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. At one of the council meetings, there was a discussion of the 1425 Teaneck Road development, and there was $900,000, I believe, that was going towards that from the township. And so I wanted to know who 1425 LLC was. So I put in a Oprah request for the articles of incorporation of this LLC. And I was told that the township does not have the articles of incorporation. And I thought that would be a standard thing to have when you are giving that money to an entity, that you know who they are. So I would like to request that that be made available to the public, since we are giving them so much money. That's all.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. I see Dr. Charles Powers. Dr. Powers, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
3 minutes, sir.
Is there a way of including me on the television?
There you go.
Okay. I'd like to follow up something that Mr. Veach talked about tonight. I'm going to encourage all of the people watching this tonight to look at page 43 of the 2020 township budget, because a number of the things that Mr. Veach talked about tonight are actually captured there. It turns out that in the 16 years that we have been gathering money, we have actually spent a total of 7.88. We spent 5.115 million of the $7.88 million that we have taken in. That leaves $2.75 million, which, since we gather just about $500,000 a year with the most amount, that means that we have 5 years of unspent money, which actually constitutes fully 1/3 of the totality of the money that we've taken in. That's a really odd thing. And I've been a very strong supporter of most. I've been very active in the effort by the committee to understand how it was that the township was making decisions about this. But to discover that we have 5 years already there leads me to think that maybe we should be thinking, well, maybe we should be voting for most again this year, which incidentally, Mr. Kaplan is wrong about. The county does not care whether we have a most or not. We get our whatever we get effectively with the county, irrespective of whether we have a most account. And we're not eligible for anything from the state because we haven't done either the recreation open space inventory or the open space recreation plan. And so the township hasn't put itself in a position to get any of that state money. Maybe what we should do, and maybe some people want to think about this, is ask for a more complete accounting of just exactly where we are. I have been poring over all of the accounts that the CFO has provided. Strangely, in 2017, $700,000 sort of showed up that had to be added to the amount of money we had on the first of 2017. And then Mr. Abbasi put the same, but more than that, $800,000 in at the beginning of 2019 with no explanation except for this fact that it said to meet whatever it was that the auditor said. I think it's important for us to try to figure out whether or not we already have a most functioning, and try to find out what it is that the township plans to do with 5 years worth of most funding, 1/3 of all that we've ever had, and try to ask whether or not what we're doing there is A, transparent to the public so we know what it is we're getting. Mr. Veach is right. We've only bought half an acre worth of open space in those 16 years. And maybe what we ought to be doing is asking the town.
I'm sorry, Dr. Powers, the time was over the limit. If you did not finish your statement, please send me an email. You have my email, Dr. Powers, clerk@tnecnj.gov, and I will be sure to include it in the minutes.
I don't see anybody else in, so I will close Good and Welfare at this time. If anybody has anything they want to add, they can send in their comments to the clerk, and we will add them to the minutes. Okay. We'll move now down to the consent agenda. I'm going to first ask.
Wait, do we get to respond?
I'm sorry. You're absolutely right, Deputy Mayor. Please go. My fault.
Okay. I'll start. We're starting the sides. Do we do start your left side, your right side? How do you want to start? I know it's your party.
We'll start with. Let's start at my left this time. Let's start with Councilmember Kaplan.
Sorry about that. I'll just keep it brief. Look, the comments can be rebutted by our attorney, but I see no reason to go round for round with people that don't really know the programs and just come to constantly complain. Seek out legitimate information. Ask your council members when they tell you something for the sources. Ask our attorney to provide the sources. We are more than happy. We are not hiding things. I'll leave it at that.
Councilmember Organ.
I wanted to respond first to Mr. Pleasance, and thank you for writing all of that up about Dr. Pruitt. I had no idea about more than half of the things that he did in his lifetime, and I hope to be at the street naming, as we discussed in the park, and I hope you will have a chance to read what you wrote about him at that time. And to Mr. Veach and Dr. Powers, most is a trust. So when you have a trust, you don't need to spend all of it. There would be no reason to spend $500,000 a year and then not have any money left in the trust. The point, I would think, would be to save money until you have projects that you want to work on, though I am new to this, but it seems to make logical sense to me. So I'm not sure what all of this is about. And to Ms. Silverberg, just letting you know, I've started using the library in the last month, and I pull up in my car and I call, and my book is on a table before I get to the table. So whatever they're doing right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rice.
Just like to say thank you to all the residents that actually call in and comment and exercise their freedom of speech. Also like to make sure that those who haven't voted yet exercise their right to vote. And also just want to say thank you to Mr. Pleasance for his recommendation for Dr. Pruitt, for sharing the many accolades and sharing tidbits of what he's accomplished. And I'm sure that when we do have the street naming, that we'll be able to express all the many things that he's done for this community. I myself know that I wouldn't be here on this council if it wasn't for Dr. Henry Pruitt. So I'm very appreciative for all that he's done for me personally and for all that he has done to try to unite this community of Teaneck.
Thank you. Councilmember Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to remind everyone to please vote. This is one of the most important elections of our lifetime, and it is important that you be heard. Yes, there were 7,000 ballots with mistakes sent to Teaneck, but the county clerk and Board of Elections have fixed that unfortunate mistake, and corrected ballots have been mailed out. So please vote by mail so your voice can be heard on the issues that matter most to you. I'd also like to thank the members of this council and staff for all the work they did to recognize Hispanic Heritage Month, which ended last week. We distributed dozens of certificates and proclamations to Latino residents, businesses, and organizations who are making a positive impact in Teaneck. I'd also like to congratulate Teaneck Southern Little League on winning the District 6 Junior Division Championship. They beat Palisades Park Leonia 10-8, and we have prepared a certificate for the team and the coaches. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, there will be no sectional or state playoffs, but I'd like to recognize Josh O'Day, Leave Wolin, David Pardo, BJ Maxim, Gabriel St. Hilaire Urbina,
Mike, you
Matthew
froze.
Moya, Keith McWuckerfenig, Marcos Castro, Matthew Allegria, Julian Vasquez, Coach Alex Vasquez, Coach Dan Jeff Hernandez as a league in the 90s, and so
Mike,
is the rest of the town.
Mike, you're freezing up. Are you done?
Oh,
I'm not-
sorry. I'll submit my remarks for the record. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Schwartz?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I apologize. Under committee, I did not list that the Historical Preservation Commission had a meeting in which we discussed 493 Teaneck Road Historical Building. It was a very collaborative meeting with the owners. They're going to, it's going to be sent to the planning board for the planning board to review. If the planning board reviews their plans, it will then go back to the Historical Preservation Commission to approve the work that would be done to the home, to the land. Nothing's being done to the home. So the owner's an architect as well. So that's a great asset in Teaneck that does need some cleaning up, and that the new purchasers are seemingly interested in doing. To Ms. Gail Gordon, it's been mentioned a few times because there's been some rightful inquiries as to who the developers would be of 1425 Teaneck Road. 1425 Teaneck Road LLC, that property, I believe that developer is the Alpert Group out of Fort Lee. The developing team is Elizabeth Davis, who currently operates Brightside and 60 Bergen, both two senior homes in Teaneck. I believe, I forget her senior citizen home name. That's a nonprofit that's doing the joint venture with 1425 LLC, which is, again, Joe Alpert's group out of Fort Lee. To Mr. Landau, I'll be meeting with the Warhaven stores as it relates to various topics that have come up in the last few days. Sound is definitely one of them. Without having to put up any videos, I know exactly what you're referring to. And lastly, Mr. Veach, thank you for bringing most to our attention. Yes, the desire to tell people to vote for most may seemingly be too late if most people voted already, except the fact that there were rumors going on online on certain Facebook chat groups that are always filled with errors, saying that the councils made these changes to most, and we've decided, and that's why the mayor announced that no changes were made to most. This is simply a 4-year renewal. And as such, we felt it prudent at the next scheduled council meeting today to please remind people and encouraging people to do, when you vote yes for most. It's a trust account. Yes, it has millions of dollars in it, thank God. And it's there for when the time is right. Right now, we have numerous sites adjoining parks that are actually in foreclosure that our manager can go knock on the door to the owner and say, I want to buy your property because I have money in my trust fund. And if I didn't have money in my trust fund, we can't buy the property. So that's what we use the money for as needed. And if it's not needed, it sits in a bank account. And I look forward to continue to expand our open space as well as rework on our parks. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up where Deputy Mayor Schwartz left off to address Mr. Veach and Dr. Powers. First of all, I don't know if you're taking into consideration the 2 pocket parks that Teaneck created with the most money as well. But in addition, we have, and I know you've watched the council meetings. This council or these councils over the last few years have tried to purchase a property. It's a little easier to build a swing set than to buy a home. We tried to purchase all the properties that were next to Votey Park on Queen Anne Road as they became available, and unfortunately, we were not successful. We tried to purchase the property right by the Rhoda Center, and unfortunately, we were not successful. And there was even an interest in trying to purchase to make a pocket park, Joan Davis's burned down, boarded up property on Alpine Drive, and unfortunately that didn't come to fruition. But, we have a lot of talent in this town, and obviously, Mr. Veach, you're a talented attorney, but maybe you could be helpful in some of these acquisitions. Purchasing properties is not the same as putting up a swing set. And unfortunately, we do not have the same track record of success when it comes to the property acquisition. But I am very much in favor of seeing most continued. I think we've done a lot of great projects throughout the town, and hopefully we'll continue to do these great projects.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll just make 2 quick comments. One, I would also like to thank the library. They have been such a resource during the pandemic. Yes, it has been open in every way possible to be safe. And I know many people are very, very appreciative of the work of the library and what they've done over the last months for the town. In terms of the most money, I want people to realize that the most money is not only just for purchase of land, which there is not a lot of land in this town to purchase. There is also for recreation and recreation enhancement. And that's where a lot of the money has been used, but not because we walked away from not looking at possibilities for purchase of land. You have to have 2 people to tango with when you're buying land. And when one wants $1 gazillion and you want to pay him $1.49, it's not going to work. We have always looked for opportunities, but opportunities come and go. So it's not a constant thing. And again, the open land area in our town, in order to that is potentially buyable, is not an enormous amount of land. So I know as being the liaison to most and to PPRB, I know the discussions that they've had have always included the possibility of looking at those things. And I know they were supportive of the Queen Anne Road property purchase. And hopefully at some point in time, we can revisit that to see if it'll work again. But I can assure the public that this money is being used exactly the way it's intended to be used legally, and it's being used judiciously in a way that is in the best interests of the taxpayer. Okay. Let's move on now. Let's move to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to pull off the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda and the bill list in the amount of
$11,326,934.46.
There a second?
So moved.
I just have one comment to make on it.
Go ahead, Councilman Kaplan.
One thing just wanted to mention regarding the sign for Dr. Pruitt. Dr. Pruitt has been coming to these council meetings for quite a long time. And one of the first council meetings he came to was in 1964. At that meeting, he spoke in favor of ensuring that we have parkland, and he put forward a petition signed by 304 residents, we the residents of the Argonne Park community. And he absolutely was in favor of these kinds of most resolutions, and I want his lifetime of support to really be reflected when I vote yes on his resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Kaplan.
I heard it first from Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
I'll do the second, or who? Somebody else do the second.
Second.
Okay.
Councilman Bagan.
All right. Let's have a roll call on the consent agenda.
Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Yes, with an abstention on the bills list unless there be a conflict.
Councilman Bagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes, with an abstention on the bills list and the resolutions.
All resolutions, Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Consent agenda passed.
All right. Introduction of ordinances.
All right, we are introducing two ordinances this evening. Ordinance number 29-2020, ordinance amending and updating Appendix 3, fees and charges for township services of Chapter 2 of the Township Code entitled Charter Administrative Code as amended by Ordinance 1-2018 and Ordinance 5-2018 to add Recreation Department fees for the use of the Votey Park Fieldhouse. And ordinance number 30-2020, an ordinance establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck included within Local 820, Council 52, AFSCME, AFL-CIO for the years 2020-2021.
Thank you, Doug. I move ordinance number 29, 2020. We have a second? Councilmember Rice.
Second.
Anybody want any comment on this? Councilmember Organ?
I had mentioned to Dean, the schedule of fees says that you need to rent the field house. If you want to rent the field house, you need to be renting a field or the sportsplex. And I'm just wondering if maybe we could open it up to other people when it's not in use for somebody who's playing on one of the fields.
Yeah, I don't have any problem. I spoke to Glenna about it a little bit and, we'll look at it. And if we need to amend the ordinance, I just want to come up with something responsible for people using that field house and not using any other facility there. But we'll put something together. And if we need to amend the ordinance and council's in agreement, we can do that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Schwartz?
All good.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, no more comments. Doug, let's call the roll.
Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Bagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Ordinances 29 and 30-2020 are introduced.
And seeing no other business on the agenda to come before the council this evening, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Councilmember Rice. Councilmember Organ seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody, for
Night.
coming.
Remember to vote.
Remember to vote, absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, members of TNEC, please don't forget to vote. And if anyone has any questions, again, please do not hesitate to reach out to your township clerk's office. We are here eager to help you. Please be safe in the interim.
Have a good one, Doug.
You too.
Night, Doug.